Part 12. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Renhuo Xiangxiao. Chapter 116. This is. What sound? At this time, except for the rustling wind, there was no other sound in the middle of the night. Even the sound of frogs and cicadas seemed to have a premonition of the coming disaster and stopped early. Yang Yu and Wenren Fangchen suddenly glanced at each other, and the surveillance images displayed on the devices around them, finally started to move. It was pitch black, and had begun to glow with a faint purple light. Did something break? It's a container. The Salted Fish King didn't know what method he used. He smashed the container. Yang Yu, look, here, the surveillance screen has begun to show action, and it is no longer in the dark stage. Wenren Fangchen, his fingers pointed at the screen deftly, and no matter how calm he was at this moment, his voice could not be suppressed. Great, I knew the Salted Fish King could do it. Yang Yu's voice was a little broken due to excitement. He punched the ground hard with his fists. The shallow pit marks on the ground showed his incomparable strength. Excitement. How did he do it? Wenren Fangchen marveled in a daze. I think it must be noise. Yang Yu took a deep breath, but coughed out excitedly, only noise can do it, and only noise can do it. Amazing. Although Yang Yu didn't see what the Salted Fish King did with his own eyes, the part about the singing move in his mind, in addition to noise, even derived from round singing. Singing. Use singing to attack your opponent. The classmate can also use the round singing move, and the power will also increase. Source, Elf Calendar, September 12, 2019, 0:0336, derived from move noise. Properties, General. Category, Special. Power, 60. Hits, 100. Note, rotation derived from noise has a harsh sound effect, which can reduce the physical defensibility of the elf affected by the moves during combat. That's great, I'll be good. Originally, when the Salted Fish King learned singing as noise, Yang Yu even had countless things to say, but now Yang Yu just wants to say one thing. It smells so good. But having said that, round singing requires at least two elves to sing in turn to be called round singing, but how did the Salted Fish King learn it? A terrifying thought suddenly arose in Yang Yu's mind. No way. Laboratory number 7. The container filled with Magikarp was completely shattered like a flood after it burst its embankment. The floor of the laboratory has been completely occupied by the Magikarp Kings. The whole area is full of jumping Magikarp. On the ground, on the table, wherever there is a foothold, there must be a Magikarp. What to do next? Water Splash will tell you the answer. The Salted Fish King didn't even think about it. He jumped onto the laboratory table and bumped into the microscope when he saw it. The microscope, which was heavy and had a large magnification, fell directly to the ground. The lens was shattered. The Salted Fish King looks proudly at his masterpiece. How dare you trap me? Who gave you the courage? The Carp Kings, who had been trapped in the container for a long time, gained temporary freedom. When they saw the Salted Fish leader with a huge crown on the experimental table, the crowd was excited. No one could stop them from going crazy in this laboratory. Disco. The water splashes, everything jumps up. Snap. The glassware placed on the table was knocked over and fell to the ground, shattering. Those stacks of organized paper documents were knocked over and let the water on the ground accompany them. And the messy buttons on the console. What words are written on it? Who the hell can see such a dim light? If you want to blame those who turn off the lights randomly. Isn't it good to turn on the lights? Anyway, what will happen if you turn on the lights randomly? Shut up, our Carp King, what's up? Wow. Boom. The entire laboratory number 7 is like coming to a carnival stage for Magikarp. All the Magikarp are dancing hard on these machine buttons. The flashing red light of the machines is their best stage effect. Buzz. 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 Alarm. 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 Police. Stab. The Salted Fish King glanced disdainfully at this ragtag guy that sounded the alarm. It was really rubbish. It broke as soon as it was hit. No one could hit it. The entire laboratory fell into a carnival of freedom. Under the flashing red alarm light, the Salted Fish King noticed the elves in other containers, including that very small fish. The elves clung to the edge of the container, looking enviously at the Magi Carp Kings who broke free from their cages and began to party. There is also such a desire. This is freedom. The Salted Fish King twisted his tail and narrowed his eyes slightly. Even if there is no water, it does not prevent him from using salted fish. Thrust. Boom. A dull sound hit the container, but this time, it had no effect on the container. Boom. The little fish carefully hid in the distance. In that corner, two eyes that were not very good looking and even a little dull looked expectantly at the carp that hit the container and wanted to save it. Big. No. It can't be knocked open like this. Suddenly, I don't know which Magi Carp pressed an unknown button while splashing with water on the experimental console. Click, 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 click. The lid of this container with the ugly fish is open. He succeeded. The JoJo fish didn't know what was happening outside. It only knew that this Carp King used a big impact to open the cage that contained it. A kind of gratitude exploded from its heart like fireworks, and finally filled this little heart. At the same time, the lids of the containers were opened one after another. For the hornfish and iron gunfish imprisoned in the containers, freedom has arrived. All the elves swam towards the bottom in unison, and then jumped out one by one. Freedom was right in front of them. The same goes for the ugly fish. Here it comes. I'm flying down. Can Magi Carp catch me? The Salted Fish King raised his head and watched the very, very small fish jump out of the container and fly into the air, and then, crack, click, click, click. The Salted Fish King suddenly opened his eyes wide, feeling that his mouth and tongue had lost control for a moment. What kind of mess fell in? Ba 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 ba. Puff. The Salted Fish King coughed and spat something out of his mouth onto the ground. Under the dim light, the Salted Fish King cautiously came up and took a look. Oh shit, this thing can still move. The ugly fish shook its head. This elf, which was only a dozen centimeters in size, saw clearly the Magi Carp who rescued it. To it, it is like a mountain. Cluck, k. Sizzle. Boom. Suddenly, two flashes of lightning appeared outside the laboratory. The Magi Carp near the door suddenly jumped back in fear. Two electric lights hit the experimental table, and two holes with black smoke appeared. If this electric shock hit the body. Ka. The Salted Fish King raised his eyes and prepared to fight. Let the votes come more intensely. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 118. Why is there an electric beast here? The joy on Yang Yu's face was no longer there, but instead he frowned, filled with sorrow. Not only the electric beast, but also a thunder beast, Wenren Fang Chen exclaimed. Yang Yu's face darkened even more. When the image captured by the miniature surveillance camera in the Salted Fish King's crown was transmitted to the device in Wenren Fang Chen's hand, two elves with clear outlines and flashing violent electric light appeared on the screen. No matter what the situation, the electric elves have always been unfavorable to the water elves. Any electric moves can cause decent damage, not to mention the Thunder Beast with a racial value of 475 and the Lightning Beast with a racial value of 490. The Electric Beast uses electric moves to attack Magi Carp, which is undoubtedly a one-sided bloodbath. Wenren Fang Chen, how is Sister Mi Chuan doing now? Yang Yu's eyes were fixed on the two ferocious-looking elves that appeared on the screen, and his palms were completely sweating for the salted fish king. I'll go take a look. Wenren Fangchen also knew that this was already a big trouble. They counted the number of doormen and security guards. At this time, there was only one security guard left in the research center. However, they never expected that there were two powerful electric elves guarding the research center. I can't wait any longer. In this state, the salted fish king has no way to fight against two terrifying electric elves. Yang Yu's forehead was covered with hot sweat as he looked at the research center under the light, erratic. Worried eyes began to focus gradually. Yang Yu, come here quickly. Sister Mi Chuan can only use teleportation with us once. After entering the research center, she will not be able to use moves. If she uses moves again, she will be seriously injured, Wenren Fangchen shouted loudly. Road. No, you guys stay here, I'm going to go in alone. Yang Yu knew that asking Sister Mi Chuan to help find this place was the greatest help he could get. It's already too late. I'll give it to you next, give it to me. Yang Yu, pay attention to the time. The strong wind will land in Hangzhou in 15 minutes. You must enter the research center and find a safe place within 15 minutes. I know. Wenren Fangchen, please help me pay attention to whether there are any other elves guarding the research center. I'll go there first. Yang Yu put on the headphones ready for communication, lowered his body and leaned towards the research center. Thanks to that month of military training, whether he was crawling forward or running with his body low to sneak in, Yang Yu was able to keep his movements to a minimum. On this short and long road, he was not tired at all when trotting. Be safe. New. All the emergency lights in laboratory number 7 were turned on, and the salted fish king saw the elf emitting two terrifying electric lights. Not one, but two. A black and yellow elf electric beast, with a yellow body trunk and black electric Z-shaped stripes showing the power of stimulating electric abilities. Its crab-like head and two sharp teeth make it even more ferocious. An elf thunder beast that looked like a dog, blue and yellow, now showed its murderous fangs and glared angrily at all the elves in the laboratory. Zizz. Sizzle. The two elves were radiating powerful yellow electric light, and they were walking towards the laboratory step by step. Their hateful eyes seemed to crush all the elves who were causing trouble in the laboratory. Thunder Fist. The electric beast jumped up from the ground, clenched a fist with his right hand, and charged backwards. A ball of lightning exuding electrical power immediately condensed on his right fist and slammed it down. Sizzle. Terrifying electric sparks immediately erupted on the laboratory table. When the thunder fist left the table, a deep black hole with billowing smoke appeared on the table. Magi-Carp on this tabletop is jumping around in fear. Fear filled their entire brains. This is the water type's instinctive fear of the electricity type. Sizzle. Boom boom boom. The columnar electric energy emitted from the thunder beast's body completely swayed in all directions, and beams of electric shock rays with powerful electric energy struck the surrounding environment in a large area. Ka-ka-ka-ka-ka-ka. Kalululu. A Magi-Carp that was only injured by the electric shock no longer had the strength to jump. Their bodies exuded a faint burnt smell and gray smoke. Boo. A very small water jet hit the electric shock beast from a corner of the laboratory. However, the electric shock beast only extended its left arm and easily blocked this extremely weak water gun. Roar. The electric shock beast just stretched out his left hand and released an electric shock towards the horned goldfish that used the water gun move. G. The horned goldfish immediately fell down and twitched on the spot. Kalu. Cluck K. Cluck K. Almost all the Magi-Carps in the audience were trembling with fear as they looked at the several companions lying motionless on the ground around the thunder beast and electric shock beast, as well as the horned goldfish that had suffered a whole attack of electric shock damage. They were completely silent. They began to panic and become confused, and their minds were completely occupied by fear. Sizzle. Boom. Boom boom boom. The laboratory was hit by an electric shock again. The experimental instruments exploded by the electric shock, and even started to ignite explosive sparks. In this blazing flame, the Carp Kings seemed to only see themselves in it. A face of fear. This cannot go on. If this continues, none of the Magi Carp Kings will be able to escape the poisonous hands of Electric Beast and Thunder Beast, so this rescue will be a complete failure. Cluck, K. Noise. However, the moment the Salted Fish King made a noise, an electric shock hit hard. The Salted Fish King took the Joe Ugly Fish and quickly escaped, which directly resolved the noise. The Salted Fish King's eyes widened in anger. When it turned around, it used its beard to move the little ugly fish to the side. It had to take action with all its strength, even though it knew that this time it would take action, it might face, it's a choice between life and death. This is the electric system, this is the water system. Electric system, perfect. In this chaotic moment, the Salted Fish King is unable to organize these Carp Kings to use noise to coordinate attacks, so a Salted Fish King must stand up. Only by defeating these two bastard electric elves. Only the Carp King race can usher in true freedom. There are also horned goldfish, and iron gunfish. Also, this little fish is so small. Salted fish, thrust. Relying on the powerful terrain, the Salted Fish King relied on the reaction force, like a fusion of water splashing and salted fish thrusting, like a cannonball, and rushed towards the two electric elves. Whoosh! The Salted Fish King colliding in the air at a high speed shocked the Electric Beast and the Thunder Beast. When the Electric Beast raised its arms to block it, the Salted Fish King had already hit hard. When the Electric Beast used its arms to resist the thrust of the Salted Fish King, a hint of mockery appeared on its ferocious face, like a mockery of overestimating one's own abilities. Ka! The angry eyes of the Salted Fish King suddenly changed, and his whole body twitched suddenly. He fell straight to the ground. The Electric Beast's characteristic static electricity is triggered. There will be a certain probability of triggering when using contact moves to attack an elf with electrostatic characteristics. The triggering probability increases with the improvement of the elf's ability with this characteristic. What a salty fish king! When the Thunder Beast and the Electric Shock Beast saw clearly the Salted Fish King, which was as huge as a cannonball, the two elves felt that they had caught the culprit. The power of the salty fish's thrust just now made the Electric Shock Beast's arms very numb. Take my move, Electric Shock. At this time, the Electric Shock Beast's whole body burst out with a powerful electric current, hitting the Salty Fish King's body, causing the Salty Fish King's whole body to twitch involuntarily. Click, click, click. This biggest Salted Fish King has been controlled by them. As for the remaining Magi Carp who are jumping around and swimming around, task, they are just a mob. Ka. Cluck K. Cluck K. When these Carp Kings who were trembling with fear saw this one, the leader Salty Fish King who rescued them from the container was seriously injured in order to save them from the Electric Shock Beast and Thunder Beast. His eyes turned from fear to dullness, from dullness to guilt, and he shed tears for the second time. The little ugly fish in the corner couldn't help but close its eyes and cover it with its tiny fins, not daring to look at the scene in front of it. However, in the small slits exposed by the double fins, the pair of eyes that should be dull appeared with vivid eyes, and their eyes were full of worry and fear. Get moving. Magi Carp is huge. You must move. The Magi Carp who fell on the ground scratched his beard feebly, feeling dizzy in front of his eyes. His whole body seemed to be paralyzed. Even if he wanted to twitch his tail, he could not do it. Kalu. Yang Yu, it's bad, the Salted Fish King is in danger now. I know, I have already rushed into the research center. Yang Yu's eyes were red, and an indescribable and heartbreaking pain made his pace speed up again. Hurry up, hurry up. Salted Fish King, hold on, I'm coming. The electric beast waved its fist with ball lightning and declared arrogantly in the laboratory. Then, this punch, hit the Salted Fish King hard. Sizzle. Ka. The Salted Fish King's body twitched again, and then he lay down weakly. Salted Fish King's hidden characteristic regeneration has tried its best to repair Salted Fish King's injuries. However, this is an electric move. The damage caused by electric moves to Salted Fish King is far greater than the regenerative power itself. Restoration of restoration. When the electric beast's fist was raised again, the Magikarps couldn't stand it any longer. Water splashes. Water splashes. Water splashes. All the elves in the laboratory who were rescued from the containers, including the hornfish, the iron gunfish, and the ugly fish that covered its eyes. Target electric beast, thunder beast, attack. Water guns, screams, water splashing, even if there are some incomplete noises, those Magikarp who barely make a little noise are already the ones with the best understanding. Even if you don't have any moves, just use your body, to attack. This time, it's our turn to repay the favor. The thunder beast's eyes turned cold, and the teeth in its mouth flashed with sharp lightning. The move was Thunder Fang. Boom, 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 boom. Ka. Cluck, K. In Wenren Fangchen's monitoring equipment, he saw a Carp King trying to block the electric beast and thunder beast with only his own body. When he wanted to try his best for the Salted Fish King, his tears failed to live up to expectations. Flowed down. Sister Michuan, Sister Michuan? Sister Michuan, teleport, Wenren Fangchen shouted hoarsely. Zhyla. A bolt of lightning tore through the dark sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Sister Mi-chun looked at the gust of wind that appeared above the white rainbow waters with disbelief. In the strong wind, she smelled a trace of violent energy, a trace of strong uneasiness from the bottom of her heart. This is a tornado. Beihung waters, how can a tornado appear here? Wenren Fangchen completely lost his sense of proportion. A dense network of lightning split the entire sky once again. Yang Yu, can you hear me? Yang Yu. Damn it, the signal was disrupted by lightning. Wenren Fangchen gritted his teeth, got up and ran towards the research center with all his strength. Sister Mi-chun looked solemn and made a gesture in her hand. Crazy, crazy, these people are crazy. Teleport. With his distracted eyes, the Salted Fish King saw his companions lying on the ground twitching like him, one by one, the horned goldfish, the iron gunfish that he had only met briefly. No. It shouldn't be like this. No, it should never be like this. I need strength. I need endless power. When the anger hit his brain, when the first terrifying thunder sounded in his ears, when the master's voice appeared in his ears, a call from the depths of his soul. Salted Fish King, evolve. The Salted Fish King's distracted gaze condensed little by little. When his gaze condensed into a deep dot. In the same darkness, a pair of eyes opened in an instant. A slightly chubby pink body, after running around here and there for a while, seemed to have found the right direction and quickly disappeared into the depths of this peaceful forest. A silver-haired old woman slowly walked out of a forest cabin. Beside her, there was a slow-moving old Hudy. Slowpoke's fateful moment has arrived. See chapter 52 for details. Time seemed to pause. Perhaps I should call him Slow King. Roar. The earth-shattering roar came from challenging fate, shocking the entire silent white rainbow waters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 119. PS Tearful Update, Votes, Votes, Votes. The Electric Shock Beast and the Thunder Beast were attacking these non-threatening Magikarp beasts wantonly, just using more strength. Oh, these little elves who have no ability to break out of the cage, how could they possibly break free with the two of them here? When the time comes, their owners will definitely praise them for their loyalty and feed them a few more sweet and delicious energy cubes. The two elves felt their whole bodies trembling with excitement at the thought of their master's reward. However, what Electric Beast and Thunder Beast couldn't understand was that for some reason, hadn't these Magikarp kings who had been knocked away had already been taught to lose their temper by electric shock? Why were they all still so excited? Suddenly, the Electric Beast and the Thunder Beast shuddered suddenly, and their whole bodies didn't dare to move at all. In their sight, just below their feet and behind them, a shadow that was gradually rising and growing gradually appeared. This shadow was like a terrifying snake, staring at them. What makes the Electric Shock Beast and the Thunder Beast feel extremely frightened is that this shadow is not only getting longer, but the size of the body on both sides is also expanding and expanding. After this terrifying shadow has completely blocked their shadows, they are still no intention of stopping. Click, 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 click. Pieces of tiny white debris gradually fell down, falling at the feet of the Electric Beast and the Thunder Beast. This is from the ceiling. Oh. The Electric Beast and the Thunder Beast subconsciously swallowed their saliva. When they turned around a little tremblingly, trying to see clearly what the terrifying figure really looked like. Roar. The earth-shattering roar came from challenging fate, shocking the entire silent white rainbow waters. Yang Yu, who was extremely anxious when he entered the research center, immediately fell into endless ecstasy. Salted Fish King has evolved. Yang Xiao, did you know that your Magikarp has evolved into Gyarados? The Salted Fish King, oh no, should be called Gyarados now. The violent breath was released endlessly, and the vicious nostrils of the Salted Fish King just exhaled, and the swaying lights on the ceiling began to flicker and sway one by one, as if the wires were being violently attacked, causing the entire laboratory number 7 fell into a flickering environment. The Electric Shock Beast and the Thunder Beast felt the terrifying intimidating aura, and they were so frightened that they knelt down immediately. They wanted to run away, but their legs were trembling in place uncontrollably. Because at this time, Gyarados is still growing. The mere ceiling could no longer stop the proud head of Gyarados. The 3 extremely hard dark blue horns directly broke through the ceiling of the 3rd underground floor. As the unusually thick body expanded, it expanded the hole in the ceiling again. When the huge head of Gyarados arrived at the laboratory on the 2nd floor underground, he found that there was an extremely familiar smell floating in the air on this floor. This is an energy cube. Right above laboratory number 7, there happens to be a warehouse area where energy cubes are stored. How many energy cubes are stored in this area? Gyarados chewed the entire box in one bite, and familiar small cubes burst out from the box. To Gyarados, the cubes were as small as ants. He immediately glared with his big eyes and swallowed half of them in one gulp. Box. Belch. Boom 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 boom. The use of brute force to break through the ceiling of the underground floor caused the entire research center building to become unstable. At this time, Yang Yu, Wenren Fangchen, and Sister Mi Chun all felt violent vibrations on the ground. Yang Yu carefully found a table where he could barely stand still. What happened below? How could there be such a terrible vibration? Zhyla. Boom. Right above the white rainbow waters, ferocious net-shaped lightning flashed continuously, crisscrossing and raging in the sky. The rumbling thunder seemed to be deafening in comparison with the violent vibrations coming from the ground. No, the tornado is coming this way, When Renfang Chen felt the strong wind around him, looked at the tornado moving quickly on the water, gritted his teeth, the most urgent thing, first find Yang Yu. At this time, Yang Yu met the person he least expected to meet in the plan on the underground floor. The last remaining security guard who hasn't gone home yet. When there was an abnormal noise in the underground laboratory, the security guard hurried downwards, but unexpectedly, the ground suddenly collapsed, and he could only stay on the underground floor. He saw the unexpected intruder. "Okay, it turns out it's you, little doll." Clang. Before he finished speaking, something seemed to fall right above the security guard and hit him directly on the head. It was a bit like a conch-shaped hat. The security guard fell to the ground. "Yang Yu. What's going on?" After the hat fell, another figure fell down awkwardly. That was. Looks familiar, very familiar. Those are, pink, fat, short legs, and that swaying tail that's a little silly, silly, is it silly? I dully touched my head with a headache. Sure enough, I was anxious when I came out. I should have asked for the direction first. I didn't grasp the temperature of teleportation properly. Why did I hit someone the first time I came out? When I go back, I will be chased and beaten by the master again. By the way, is this person okay? Dudu picked up this conch-like hat, put it on his head, straightened it out. Alu. Diddly, Yang Yu's voice trembled uncontrollably. He never thought that he would meet a dull king in this place. A stupid king fell from the sky. Yeah, Dede heard the familiar voice that he hadn't heard for a long time, and immediately ran towards Yang Yu's direction with his little feet. Yeah. Oh my god, is it really that dumb one? Yang Yu felt that his heart was filled with disbelief. Don't forget the area of psychological shadow in the unconscious security guard's heart, it's too big. Roar. The joy of Yang Yu and Dede's meeting didn't last long. There was a loud explosion, and the entire research center began to uncontrollably burst into dust, and the ground also began to gradually split. Suddenly, there was another burst of lightning and thunder. Yang Yu was stunned. Dada was stunned. When Renfang Chen and Sister Mi Chuan were also stunned. Because, in front of their eyes, with the help of the light of lightning, a giant red beast more than 10 meters high, with a thick waist of about 3 or 4 meters long, looked toward the sky with a ferocious face, and roared upwards. Roar. From the mouth of the giant beast, a thick fiery red light beam shot towards the center of the lightning that filled the sky. Dragon. Of. Angry. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 120. Above the vast white rainbow waters, a flaming red dragon's fury soared into the sky and surged into the dead night covered with thunder nets, spreading a terrifying halo among the clouds. This dark night is like pouring hot lava. Zhyla. A column of lightning as thick as the dragon's wrath struck down again, and the sudden daylight tore open the dark night. Wow. Hua 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 hua. Heavy rain, pouring. Yang Yu, get out of here quickly, this building can't hold on any longer. When Renfang Chen felt a tearing strong wind, which was already rolling in around him. This impregnable research center was forcefully killed by Gyarados. After being stretched open and smashed, it was already crumbling. I know, Yang Yu tightened his grip on Dede's hand in the shock. This time, he would never let go. Dada, can you help me? Pull this security guard to come out. In the huge hole that was breached in the research center, countless raindrops gathered at the top and fell down like a waterfall along the slope of the top, all the way to the bottom. Yang Yu, the flood caused by the strong wind is coming, when Renfang Chen shouted anxiously at the top of the stairs. Stay. Yeah. King Slow closed his eyes in the darkness. When he suddenly opened them again, the faint purple super breath was released from his eyes, with all his strength. Stupid! Yang Yu stared dumbly at the scene change in front of him. After a pause, the scene changed again. Finally, what appeared in front of them was the equally stunned Wenren Fangchen and Sister Mi Chuan. Shun, Shuang teleport. This is. Wenren Fangchen stared blankly at Yang Yu, who was wearing a conch hat. Day, King Day. Sister Mi Chun felt the energetic superpower bursting out from this slow king, and what she felt was that this slow king, why it felt so young, was simply unbelievable. Stop talking now, let's run out first. Yang Yu himself was extremely shocked. The surprise given to him by Dai could have put a roaring whale in his mouth, but now, the situation is extremely urgent. Is this the security guard? Wenren Fangchen saw the dizzy security guard lying on the ground next to Yang Yu. Yang Yu touched his nose. Well, he didn't quite understand why the conch hat fell off first when Dudu came out, and then the other one fell off behind. The place where it fell is still so critical. Let's go quickly. However, when Yang Yu turned around, he stayed in place. What's wrong, Dudu? Yang Yu was suddenly startled. He turned around blankly, pointed in the direction of the underground of the research center, and then pointed at the Gyarados on the white rainbow water. Yeah. Are you going to help? Yang Yu thought of the elves on the bottom floor of the research center, and the scarlet Gyarados, who was furious at this time. The best choice at this time was to make Gyarados angry. All burst out. Yeah, Day nodded with certainty. He had a premonition that his partner had fallen into a state of madness. When Gyarados entered a state of rage, it would be easy for him to do terrible things. As a good partner of Gyarados, Day knew that his arrival was to stop Gyarados fell into final uncontrollable madness. The red giant beast challenged the thunder pillar in the sky. The violent rain washed the dragon scales that reflected the dazzling light. The ferocious eyes even showed signs of turning white. The scarlet Gyarados looked coldly at the tornado that swept up the violent wind. He had a desire to be on top of that tornado. Then, let the storm come more violently. Dadu, you have to be careful. The clumsy-looking little feet that swayed in a daze, and the wagging tail set off the somewhat round body, but at this time, Yang Yu looked extremely determined in his eyes. Liquid, circle. I paused and clicked on the water surface of Beihang water, and a liquid circle with a little bit of vitality spread out, rushing towards the hole in the ground of the research center. Cluck K. Cluck K. Gilu. Bot. One after another, Magikarp jumped out of this huge hole, as if they had ushered in their own new life, charging towards freedom. The wounds on their bodies were gaining strength bit by bit in the circles of liquid. Recover. Yeah. He rubbed his head blankly and looked at the water column pouring down and overflowing the water surface. Why is there such a small fish? The JoJo fish is on the water rising from the entrance of the cave. Directly above it, there is a waterfall pouring down from a high place, hitting its side with rough waves, making it difficult for it to control its direction. Suddenly, it felt like it was settling down. Where is this? A round and chubby head, two small tiger teeth, some dull but concerned eyes, one dumbly used his conch hat, like a small container, to catch this little fish stand up. The conch hat opened its eyes in protest. This is a thoughtful hat. A conch cap transformed from a giant-tongued clam. Day comforted his good friend. Day hugged his conch hat and ran out of the partially collapsed research center with the little fish. Yeah. Be careful. Dudu came to the water and poured the little fish out of his conch hat. The little fish looked at him with gratitude. Yeah. Day put on his conch hat, well, he had to put it on correctly. He opened his eyes to protest and the hat became quiet. However, Just a few seconds after it became quiet, the conch started to protest again. I want to get off. Gotta get off. This is not a ride to kindergarten. Dumbfoundedly, he took a deep breath, opened his purple pupils that rekindled his superpower, and moved in the direction of the scarlet Gyarados, momentarily. Kalu kalu kalu. Cluck k. At the edge of the white rainbow water, the freed elves such as Magikarp, Iron Cannon Fish, and Hornfish were looking at the terrifying monster that was more than 10 meters long. However, their eyes were not filled with fear, but burning gazes burning with incomparable reverence. The Carp Kings jumping high and high seemed to be shouting, Gyarados, come on, come on, come on. 666. 666. 666. The scarlet Gyarados narrowed his eyes slightly, the tornado that was getting closer and getting stronger. Jump up from the water. At this moment, a pink elf who looked very small, moved this huge body. Hold on. Hold on. Hug it hard. Yang Yu, who was near the tent, looked at the scene in front of him through the telescope and didn't know how to describe it. Freeze. It's as if the past has reappeared. He was holding a salted fish king in his arms and happily running left and right in the shallow waters of the ocean park. He held him tightly and protected him well. Even later, when faced with a white sea lion that was many times more powerful than he knew, he still remained, I would rather get hurt, but also protect the salted fish king. Stay, salted fish king, you have to be careful. Hot tears, shed. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 122. Isn't the golden scale a thing in the pond, which turns into a dragon when encountering the storm? The fierce light in the scarlet Gyarados' eyes subsided, and he lowered his head slightly, as if he had lost some of the limelight. However, when he raised his proud head again, a storm no less than a tornado formed in an instant. This is flying. Next to the tornado that glowed with the ferocious power grid, a violent beast more than 10 meters long was flying around the tornado, quickly. Roar. At the tail of the scarlet Gyarados, a Datuo was hugging tightly. He could only feel the huge force from all sides, including the storm, and the up and down swing of the Gyarados when it flicked its tail and flew. However, none of this could stop his determination to protect Gyarados. On the head of Dum, the conch that had been protesting to get off the car looked at the lightning, thunder, and violent wind and rain just above its head. It was so frightened that it quickly closed its eyes and began to hypnotize itself, and then bit the Dum's head tightly. Broad-minded. Even if you beat me to death, you won't let go. Rumble, rumble. Another bolt of lightning made the surrounding white rainbow waters completely as bright as day. Under the non-stop heavy rain, the picture in front of Yang Yu was blurred by the rain, but he saw the scarlet Gyarados soaring in the sky. That's his salted fish king. An extremely strong sense of pride filled my heart. Salted fish king, salted fish king, salted fish king. But at the same time, his heart began to tighten. This tornado contains the violent power of thunder and lightning. What if it hurts Gyarados? Water and flying, 4 times weak electricity. This lightning strike came down. How could Gyarados be able to withstand it? Why is this like a scene of overcoming a tribulation and ascending to immortality? When Ren Fangchen stared bitterly at the scarlet Gyarados hovering in the tornado in front of him, Yang Yu, what kind of monster salted fish have you raised? King. Yes, this is the tribulation. The tribulation of the carp leaping over the dragon gate. Yang Yu nodded. In the previous game, the evolution of elves was an ordinary change. Congratulations to King Carp for evolving into Gyarados. No more, but here, darkness, lightning, and thunder, such a terrifying evolution. This is the evolution of Yang Yu's salted fish king. During the salted fish king period, the foundation was laid very well. The huge salted fish king is close to 1.5 meters in size. This is already several times the size of the ordinary carp king. The evolution under such a background is too scary when Ren Fangchen summoned Kami Turtle, and asked Kami Turtle to watch this unforgettable scene of dragon soaring 9 heavens, from the salted fish king with a race value of 200 to a Gyarados with a race value of 540, this is as high as 340 points. The gap is already the most incredible thing in the elf world. The improvement in life level is beyond imagination. This requires extremely powerful energy. The evolution of ordinary elves only requires slowly replenishing a large amount of energy cubes. But Yang Yu, do you still remember that your salted fish king just took a tube of life potion, and it will be 5 or 6 years old? Eat 10 energy cubes. Yang Yu answered with a dazed look, the energy required for the salty fish king to evolve into a Gyarados. The horror is unimaginable. This is no longer a problem that can be solved by many energy cubes, because the way energy cubes replenish energy is too slow. Even high-quality energy cubes cannot do it. Not to mention, how could it be possible to find so many energy cubes at this time? Yang Yu saw the violent lightning and thunder at the eye of the tornado, and the densely covered power grids, erupting with extremely terrifying electric shock energy. His mind went blank, and he looked at the direction in which the Gyarados was spiraling away. An extremely absurd idea appeared in Yang Yu's mind. Yang Yu, hurry up, we have to leave here. The flood is about to come up. This place is too dangerous. We may be washed away by the flood at any time. We have to go to a safer and higher place. When Ren Fangchen was, he shouted with a frown on his angular face washed by the rain. Sister Mi Chun patted Yang Yu's shoulder beside Yang Yu, hesitated to speak, and finally just put her hand on the shoulder. Yang Yu looked at the Gyarados with its proud head held high, and roared again in the storm with all his voice, "Stay, salted fish king, come on, you must, eat it." Boom! Another thunder and lightning struck down, and when Yang Yu turned to leave, out of the corner of his eye, he seemed to see the salted fish king opening his ferocious mouth. Energy, where does it come from? Only devouring thunder. The expressionless eyes of the scarlet Gyarados were already staring at the eye of the tornado filled with flashes of thunder. He smelled a smell that made him salivate. He felt the incomparable emptiness in his body and was extremely longing for. In the center of the eye of the storm is a ball of electricity flashing with bursting energy. That's it. Bah! A bolt of thunder struck beside Gyarados, exploding a hysterical thunder net, trying to entangle the Gyarados soaring above the tornado. The scarlet Gyarados grinned ferociously, trying to stop me? Dream. Roar. Yeah. Dede, who was holding the Gyarados, also expressed strong indignation towards the lightning that had evil intentions towards them. Reflection, no, wall of light. Stab. Another bolt of thunder blasted the wall of light that had formed shortly into pieces. Blinking blankly. Yeah. Dede almost cried and hugged Gyarados tightly. Although his little feet and hands were trembling a little, he did not dare to let go at all. Yulong Yude is getting closer and closer to the eye of the tornado, getting closer and closer. Bah! The power grid is on full fire. The scarlet Gyarados looked at the bastards around him who were hindering him, with an angry look on his face, and opened his huge mouth, the dragon's anger. At the same time, in the air hovering here, a long-lost dance was performed, the dragon dance. The mysterious dance of the dragon releases the intimidating aura of the scarlet Gyarados into an increasingly terrifying place. In those ruthless eyes, coldly watching the circle of power grids, give me, all retreat. Speed. The ethereal dragon body that spun on the scarlet Gyarados was quickly shuttled through the power grid, and even its extremely huge body could flexibly change directions. Just miserable and dumbfounded. This nearly doubled the flying speed, which made Dede feel like he was going to be blown away. His little hands were on the dragon scales, and there were traces of cracks and blood stains everywhere. I opened my eyes with difficulty. The moment I opened my eyes, I suddenly felt that the world in front of me became extremely strange. Why did the wind feel like it was slowing down? Some things in front of me seemed to be still. Bah! A bolt of thunder struck Gyarados in front of his face, flashing columnar lightning with bursting energy. At this moment, a spiritual light flashed in his dull mind. Trick, space. The relative speed is one of the essences of the magic space. This move is Lao Huidi's signature move. When he taught it to Dede, Dede only had a partial understanding of it. When dealing with fast things, such as a small butterfly, when Dede used the magic space on the little butterfly, instead of slowing down, the little butterfly flew faster. Dede chased the little butterfly to release the magic space, but the little butterfly flew faster and faster, for fear of being caught by Dede. The butterfly was stunned and ran around in the forest, leaving behind Lao Huidi, who was twitching at the corner of his mouth. Dede feels like he has learned a fake magic space. Now, looking at the lightning that was coming, for some reason, Dede suddenly felt that it had slowed down. Slowed down. Purple pupils, super release, magic space. The Scarlet Gyarados looked at the lightning that was somehow moving at a snail speed, no, slower than a snail. He immediately used the corner of his eye to see the pair of purple eyes and the familiar pink figure. It's him. It's him. It's him. Dumb. Yeah. Hurry. Roar. Scarlet Gyarados' whole body was trembling, and his stupid cry immediately made him make a decision. Looking at the thunderball in the eye of the storm that was very close at hand, he tried his best to open his ferocious mouth. Take one bite and swallow it. Click. Click, click, click. The violent energy overflowed crazily from the thunderball in the eye of the wind, trying to escape from the Scarlet Gyarados' mouth, but even a trace was extremely powerful energy, and Gyarados couldn't bear it. Come back here. The lightning that escaped was eaten by Gyarados again, thanks to the magic space. Wind and thunder began to rage inside Gyarados' body. The uncontrollable energy wanted to tear Gyarados apart, but how could Gyarados let them do so? Over this mountain. Just cross this mountain of wind and thunder. Sizzling, sizzling. Above the clouds, a scarlet giant beast with a length of more than 10 meters, flashing with lightning, quickly shuttled through the dense dark clouds. There were also lightnings all over the sky, which seemed to be attracted by the giant beast and struck hard at the giant beast. But, is this useful? Click, click, click. The lightning from the outside is the best attack on the thunderball in the eye of Gyarados. Gyarados wants to use this thunder net all over the sky to help him digest this extremely powerful thunder energy. Every time it was struck by thunder, Gyarados didn't even feel a trace of pain. After being completely numbed, it felt really exciting. The destruction and vitality brought by the thunder completely tempered Gyarados' huge body of more than 10 meters. Starting from the body, the sound of crackling lightning and thunder was made, and the unnecessary impurities were completely removed. At the same time, the endless vitality is paired with regenerative power. Roar. The Scarlet Gyarados felt like he was in a paradise. As long as he was electrocuted, he would be happy for a long time. Dance of Dragons. Dance of Dragons. The speed in the dark clouds is getting faster and faster, which also means that Gyarados is digesting thunder faster and faster. A slightly neglected part. Slowpoke felt like he was being scorched by electricity, and his little butt was about to be cooked by the electricity, but what he didn't expect was that Gyarados' regenerative power came from him, and the effect of Slowpoke's regenerative power was compared to Gyarados is even more terrifying. For example, experience the tempering of thunder. This conch hat has turned into gold. From a distance, It looks like a golden poop. The injuries on Dede's body have basically recovered, but something feels weird. Staring blankly at the red and shiny Gyarados in front of him, it was like a big lobster on a barbecue grill with oil and chili. That's right, the baptism of thunder made Gyarados' body even more lustrous, except for a certain place. He glanced down at the scales covered by his belly, and quickly, hug him, don't show it to others. I don't allow it. The outline seal of a slow king appeared on the scarlet Gyarados. Especially the poop on the head, it is unbearable to look at. The culprit with his dull head is still looking at his own masterpiece with pride. Ding! Golden legend. The tornado slowly dissipated, but the lightning, thunder, and heavy rain continued. On the white rainbow waters, all the carp kings splashed hard, looking at the approaching, welcome, my king is coming. Cluck K. Cluck K. This is the paradise of Magikarp. The rage faded. The scarlet Gyarados slowly returned to its normal appearance. The elves have their own unique rules of survival, and even the powerful Gyarados is no exception. It is not a good thing to act alone when you do not have enough strength. After returning to the normal state from the furious state, the body length is now much shorter than the first 10 meters, but it is still more than 8 meters long. The scarlet scales on the body have also turned into blue scales. The diameter of the body is, also shrunk a bit. However, no one knows that under this ordinary body, after swallowing the thunder and experiencing the tempering of the thunder, the shiny blue scales still cannot be changed, and the terrifying furious state still exists. Dudu, who was lying on Gyarados, took a small step, and then, fell down directly. He forgot that it was in the water or not on flat ground. However, in the water, Dudu, wearing a golden conch hat, suddenly appeared. Kalu Kalu Kalu. Our hero. Our king. The Magikarp kings moved excitedly towards the body of the Gyarados to welcome the victorious return, king. Gyarados blinked, feeling a little panicked. The feeling of being surrounded, why is it so strange? He stared blankly at the little fish swimming by him, a little lonely, and touched his head. Together with the little fish, he looked at the Gyarados who smiled like a fool in the, but his smile seemed like even scarier than not smiling. Amidst the lightning and thunder, Dada still saw the embarrassing seal that made him want to cover his eyes. Even though Gyarados returned to normal from the furious state at this time, and the scales changed from scarlet to bright blue, but that the stupid seal still exists. 1. Dumb. Salted Fish King, stay still. Yang Yu looked at the extremely harmonious scene, and the stone in his heart finally fell. Ho ho ho. Gyarados saw its master paddling through the water step by step, and quickly left the Magikarp kings. Just go up and throw him down. Cough 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 cough. Yang Yu choked a big mouthful of water. After the tornado stopped, he returned to the vicinity of Beihung waters. Who knew that this damn salted fish king would actually take revenge? Hey, hey, hey. Yang Yu felt like he had just been pushed into the water, and then he took off again. Gyarados made a direct move, and picked up Yang Yu. Yang Yu immediately hugged Gyarados' neck tightly, and the rain hit his face, and tears flowed down together. I have evolved, but I am worried to death. Cluck K. The Magikarp kings once again gathered around excitedly. Dada took off his golden conch hat, then put on the little fish and leaned towards Yang Yu. As for the conch hat's protest, it was simply ignored. I'm golden, golden, golden. When Renfang Chen and sister Mi Chui stood high up, looking at Yang Yu and his elves, Kami Turtle, we must work harder. Kami Turtle nodded vigorously. The picture is frozen again. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huoqiang Xiao. Chapter 123. Written in front, Diary of the Evolution of Cute and Cute People, please vote. Yeah. Suddenly a big round pink head emerged from the dense jungle, with a pair of big, cute eyes. He looked left and right. Suddenly, his head hurt. Snap! I stared blankly at a big yellow thing that suddenly appeared on my little hand. It's so strange, where did it fall from? I touched my head and there seemed to be something sticky and sweet. Dada's little nose moved, and he stuck out his tongue and took a lick. Yeah. Sweet. Dada hugged the honeycomb and kissed it hard. Buzz 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 buzz. Dada raised his head stiffly. Yeah. The little feet flew up and down in the forest, running dumbly and and two lines of hot tears floated out of the corners of the eyes. The twisting pink waist is full of elasticity. Behind Dadu, a group of giant needle bees buzzing and vibrating their wings showed off their sharp needles, shuttled between the woods, and launched a fierce attack on Dede's ass. Yeah. His short hands couldn't even touch his butt. He was running in the forest, jumping up and down. If he didn't jump up, he would be injected. Yeah. Stop chasing me, okay. Help. The giant needle bees didn't care so much. They only saw the pink elf twisting its waist on the ground, especially the big round head with dull traces of the crime, yellow honey. Take my shot. Dada wished he had a few more legs. He would run around everywhere, running, and couldn't run anymore. Suddenly, I remembered a trick that Lao Huidi taught it not long ago. Instant movement. He stood there blankly, as if he was not afraid of the giant sting wasp at all, because he was about to disappear, right away. The giant needle bees were hovering in the air, not knowing what this one was going to do, so they instinctively stopped attacking. Yeah. Teleport. Dada raised his hands. Hey, why is there still a giant sting wasp in front of me? He patted his head blankly. Well, take another mouthful of honey, it's so sweet. No, this is not the time to eat honey. Come again. Teleport. The giant needle bee saw this Dada raising his hands again as if he was about to use a super type move. But nothing happened. He just raised his hands blankly. What else are you looking at? Missile needle, pierce his butt? Yeah. Dada once again held his head and ran around blindly. The densely packed missile needles came like a rain of swords. No matter how fast Slowpoke ran, a few of them still stuck into Slowpoke's head. 1, 2, 3, no more, no less, exactly 3. When Dada jumped into the meteor lake in the forest while crying and shouting, the giant needle bees circled for a long time and could not see any trace of Dudu, so they reluctantly left slowly. What a pity for that butt that wiggles its tail. It would have been nice if it was stuck on top, but it's a pity that it was stuck on the forehead. Coo. A series of bubbles appeared from the bottom of the water. In the water, 3 eye-catching missile needles emerged from the water first, then a big steamed bun emerged, and the 3 needles were intertwined with the swollen bun. Finally, a big head emerged. Dada shivered and secretly observed under the water to make sure that those ferocious giant needle bees were no longer around before they dared to pop their heads out. Yeah. At this time, Dede saw the scene reflected in the water. Yeah. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr his forehead, with 3 sticks of incense stuck in it. Aha! Dada ran all the way to Lao Huidi's cabin with tears in his eyes. Lao Huidi was swaying in the house and shaking the hot tea steadily. He was about to take a sip when he saw a tall Dada suddenly grow at the door. It spurted out with a pop sound. Huidi. Yeah, 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 Dada pointed at the big needle bees in the forest, and pointed at his big head, like an aggrieved child who had poked a hornet's nest and been stung by a wasp. He sat on the ground holding his head and burst into tears. Lao Hu touched his beard, stretched out his hand, and gently brushed Dede's head. The 3 missile needles on Dede's head quickly disappeared. Yeah. Blinking his big tearful eyes blankly, he looked at Lao Huidi with a peaceful face, and hugged Lao Huidi's hand tightly with his little hands and acted coquettishly. Lao Huidi originally wanted to use his superpowers to help Dede heal the big bump on his head, but when he thought about it, it would be better if he had to suffer more when he was young to save Dede such skin. However, he never expected that, just after he removed the 3 missile needles, Dede's swollen head returned to normal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Huidi. Lao Hu knew that Dede had the hidden characteristic of regeneration, but he never thought that the recovery ability of this characteristic was so strong. Dada blinked pitifully, and he saw in the mirror in the wooden house that the bag on his head disappeared. He suddenly remembered that his little hands seemed to be very powerful. Wherever he touched, the injuries would heal. It was so magical. Huidi. Just as Lao Huidi was about to say something, he saw Dude, who was crying just now, jumping out of the door with a bright smile and disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lao Huidi stretched out his hand and felt helpless. The ground shook his head. This naughty kid. Drink tea, drink tea. Call. Lao Hu mixed the tea in the teacup, dragged the rocking chair through the door, and went to a place outside the wooden house where he could get some Sunday. He lay down comfortably in the sun and lived a leisurely life. He splayed his little feet and ran happily in the sun. He accidentally fell a big somersault and rolled round on the ground. When he stopped, just in time, his legs were in the air and his round belly was in the air. It was warm and comfortable under the warm sun. Yeah. He squinted his eyes blankly and raised his head to look at some colorful little butterflies flying in the sky. He seemed to have thought of something. He remembered that his head was still stained with a little sweet honey. At this time, he happily stretched out his little hands. I want to touch and eat something. Forehead. It seems a little itchy. Dede sat up, his 2 big eyes turned up. At this time, a string of small butterflies stayed on Dede's forehead, as if he was wearing a butterfly flower hat. Yeah. Dede stretched out a small hand, and a little butterfly flew back and circled for a while. There was no place on Dede's round head. The little butterfly smelled the sweetness on Dede's fingertips and stopped on his hand. Up, there's still some sweetness here. Yeah. Thanks to 2019, 567 for 700 coins, cherish 1001, Guda Stew, I really like reading books more, Ranmin of Wu Miao, Jackdaws Cry at Night, Yun Chin for 500 coins, Son Little Sun for 300 coins, 2018, 698, Sword Shadow Dream, naming is not advisable, Soured Old Salted Fish, 100 coins of fish farming fund support. Thank you all trainers for your recommendation votes. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 124. Dada, acting like a coquettish girl, rolling around and wagging her tail to ask for votes, you must vote for me. Meteor Forest. This is one of the larger primary forests in the elf world. On the outermost edge of the forest, there are many young people holding insect nets to catch insects. They happily got the first elf in their lives here. There is a wonderful story that has been circulating in the Meteor Forest. Peng, the first generation of Insect King in the elf world, captured the first elf on the edge of the Meteor Forest and witnessed his life's growth trajectory, the one-horned insect. Peng, the king of insects, was just a poor insect-catching boy at the time. It was with this one-horned insect that he finally reached the pinnacle of training. It is precisely because of this that many young people with dreams of being top trainers will sincerely make a wish deep into the forest after they come here to capture the elves. At this time, the outer edge of the forest. A Dede stood on the branch of a tree with a confused face, its little feet were trembling, and its 2 legs were trembling. Under its feet, it was 6 or 7 meters in the air. Dede suddenly felt that its legs were weak. Hurry up, sit down on the branch, hug the trunk of the tree with both hands, wishing you could stuff your head into the tree like an ostrich. Autistic. Yeah. How did I get here? I feel like I have no love left in my life. A few minutes ago. Lao Hudi squinted his eyes, patted his waist, and glanced at the sun outside. Well, the sun was shining on his butt. It was time to train his stupid super-type moves. Lao Hudi turned around and looked at this dumb sleeper who was sleeping extremely badly. The big snot bubbles grew bigger and smaller with his breathing, but they just couldn't be broken. There was also this drooping tail. Her round ass, just like this, made Lao Hudi want to go up and kick her a few times. Fortunately, Lao Hudi did not do this. Hudi. Lao Hu poked Dede's back, trying to wake up ZZZ from his deep sleep, but Dede said yeah, and said some weird sleep talk, and then a trace of laughter flowed from the corner of his mouth. His saliva flowed out. Lao Hu's eyes widened. Magic space. He was so angry that his beard stood up. What time has it been? I'm still sleeping. I'm teleporting and leaving you. As if carrying goods, Lao Hudi took Dede to a tree on the outskirts of the forest. Miraculously, Lao Hudi's teleportation was smooth and steady. Even when he landed on the tree with Dada was still snoring and blowing snot bubbles, without breaking. Then. Snapped. Yeah. Lao Hudi mercilessly picked up a broken branch from the ground and popped the snot bubble of he is determined to never let go of the Green Mountains. Dada immediately woke up from his sleep and found that he was actually hanging in the forest with his short legs. The air keeps churning, I fly. Then, it fell on the tree trunk. Alu. Then there was a scene of him standing on the tree trunk, confused and trembling. On the tree, several little elves with silky green hair hung down. Mir. Ba. Dudu stopped facing the wall and thinking about his faults and looked at the green caterpillars and armored pupae hanging from the tree curiously with his big eyes. The green caterpillars and armored pupae seemed to be asking him, what happened? Yeah. Dede himself didn't know. Didn't he sleep in the wooden house last night? Why did he wake up, and he was here? Mir. Where are you from? A green caterpillar asked, blinking its round eyes. Dada scratched his head with his hand holding the tree. Well, I have to think carefully about where he lives. Yeah, Do you know where there is a lake? Dede usually played next to the big lake and rarely walked through the forest. When it got dark, he walked back to Lao Hudi's wooden house from the lake. But it was close and he could find it in one go. Mum. The green caterpillars and the armored pupae looked at me and I looked at you, and then one of the armored pupae climbed up along the long silk until it climbed to the crown of the tree. Soon, 2 bata butterflies flew down from the canopy of the tree. The 2 bata butterflies circled and danced around Dedu, and then simultaneously headed towards the lake in the center of the forest. There is Meteor Lake. Yeah. Dada found where he was going, happily stretched out his hands, thanked him on the branch, and then. Yeah. Plop. He stared blankly at the green caterpillars and armored pupae hanging from above, as well as the 2 giant butterflies slowly falling to the ground. He quickly sat up under their very sympathetic eyes. Oh, it doesn't hurt at all. Actually there is a little bit. But it doesn't hurt now. He patted the dirt on his body blankly, then said thank you and goodbye to Bada Huo's family, and ran towards the depths of the forest with his little feet. Well. The Bada Huo family watched Dududu slowly leaving, twisting his waist in a daze, and then slowly climbed up and returned to the top of the tree canopy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wandered through the forest blankly, not knowing how long I had been running. However, I was so tired that I didn't want to move at all. I lay on the ground and touched my bulging belly. However, he just thought about the flying fish he saw in his dream before. It's red, big, and flies very fast. No, I have to cheer up and run quickly. But, just running like this, can you catch up with that fast flying fish? I huddled up in a ball in grievance. What should I do? What should I do? Is there any way to make me run faster? At this time, on a big tree not far away, Lao Hu looked calmly at the little Dede rolling on the ground. He knew that this was a difficult learning process. It was crucial to learn teleportation and truly master it. Importantly, teleportation involves a comprehensive understanding of time and space. This is also the strength of the super elf, and it is also one of the important means for the super elf to save his life in a battle. Only. Lao Hu touched his beard. Why did he have to run instead of rolling it? It seems that the speed of running in a daze is not as fast as rolling like this. Suddenly, Lao Hu felt a pain in his beard. Where the hell did Kentaro come from? He sat dumbly on Kentaro's back, hugging Kentaro's neck, and expressed gratitude with a smile on his face. Got a ride. Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr for the first time. Among the elves, Kantaro was famous for being reckless and full of strength. The speed he could run like this. If he hadn't been hugging him so tightly, he would have jumped up on Kantaro's back like Super Mario. Invincible cuteness. Thanks to Yiman Zangxiu for the 100 coin support of the Daidui evolution trainers who like to watch Daidui must vote, they will definitely like it. Ah, I want to play Daidui, please vote. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Renhuo Qiangxiao. Chapter 125. P.S. The follow-up extras will be sorted out and posted in the works. Friends who like to be silly can go to the previous works to find. Please vote. In a small hotel, the room was dark, with only the TV emitting a faint light. At 24:53 this morning, super strong winds from the East China Sea landed in our city, forming the largest super thunderstorm in the past 6 years. According to Meteorological Observatory monitoring, rainfall in most areas of the city reached more than 1,200 millimeters, and rainfall in the Beihang water area the volume even exceeded 2,000 mm. According to the monitoring of the meteorological station, a tornado occurred for a short period of time in the Beihang waters. The specific occurrence was due to the air pressure difference between several small islands in the Beihang waters. The tornado and super thunderstorms caused a large collapse of an ELF research institute. The rescue team rescue is in progress, no casualties have been found yet, follow-up reports are being followed. Yang Yu was lying on the bed, soundly asleep, with his left hand holding his chubby Dudu, who was lying on his back on the bed. The big snot bubbles on his nose sometimes got bigger and sometimes got smaller, and there was still sweetness at the corner of his mouth. Sweet smile. In Dede's arms, his little hands were holding a poke ball tightly. After the salted fish king evolved, his body was 7 to 8 meters long in normal state and weighed hundreds of kilograms. Dede might not be able to hold it. But you can hold the elf ball. There was a small fish in a washing water cup on the hotel table. The little fish was sleeping deeply under the water cup, seeming to be having a quiet and sweet dream. The ELF Research Institute is completely submerged in the water, and the rescue team is working hard to drain water. Yang Yu moved his body, and suddenly heard a pop sound, and woke up quickly. There appeared in front of him a Dede with big eyes, tilting his head and looking at him curiously. This is not a dream. Yang Yu rubbed his eyes, even though he had already told himself in his heart that this was not a dream, this was not a dream, this was not a dream. He said important things 3 times, but he still felt a little unreal. Yeah. He sat up straight and opened his eyes with the conch hat on his head. You have evolved. Queen Yang realized that she had many things to say, but she also had an unspeakable feeling. He stood up on the bed blankly, holding the elf ball in one hand and holding the other on his waist, looking at Yang Yu confidently. I evolved. King Dudu. Yang Yu turned on the light, and suddenly the golden poop-shaped conch cap appeared in front of his eyes. It was a bit scary, but with the golden conch cap, this appearance was indeed handsome. Hello, big tongue baby. Yang Yu wanted to reach out and touch the golden shining conch cap. Of course he knew that there are two branches of Dede evolution, one is the King Dede who wears the conch cap on his head, and the other is the King Dede who wears the conch cap on his tail. Hippo. However, this conch hat seems to be more arrogant, and its eyes are full of disgust. The conch hat suddenly stared, feeling something was wrong. Hey, Dudu, we are one, why did you take me off and hand it to this person? Yang Yu looked at the golden poop handed over by Dede's hands in surprise, then smiled and helped Dede put it on his head. It is your life partner, you can't take it off casually. Conch hat looked up and down with great approval. That's right, Dudu, look at this person, how aware he is. However, Dede got into Yang Yu's arms, took the elf ball with him, opened his arms and hugged Yang Yu. Yeah. You too. And the salted fish king. If it weren't for this hat, Yang Yu felt that he might be able to hug him, but with this hat. Yang Yu felt that he was a little stunned by the warm embrace. It probably didn't take long for Dede to evolve into King Dede. It can be seen from the shape of the conch cap that the two horns with the aura of a king have just appeared at this time. By the way, Dede, where did this ugly fish come from? Yang Yu thought of what happened after yesterday. The scene was a bit too mysterious, and he was still a little confused. However, he still remembered what Dede brought back later. Just an ugly fish. Well, it's this little fish in the water glass. Dada raised his head and thought for a moment, blinked, and stared blankly, making Yang Yu look confused. That, I don't know either. Yang Yu shook his head, forget it, let's not worry about it. However, it was quite unexpected to meet an ugly fish. At this time, the TV was still broadcasting the news about the Beihang water area. One person was in a daze, one ball and one fish, lazily watching the useless news. Yang Yu was near the Beihang water area at that time. Why? Research centers would collapse, and no one knew better. The following is an interview with a security guard at the research center's guard room. He is the only person left in the research center. He may know something about the situation and is now awake. I was doing the final inspection in the building. After the inspection, I could go home. But for some reason, there was a loud noise, as if something was broken. Then I went to look, but when I went downstairs, my head hurt, as if I was knocked unconscious by something. As soon as I woke up and opened my eyes, I was here. Can you recall the details of the collapse of the research center? It seems like the ceiling started to collapse first, otherwise I wouldn't have been knocked unconscious. Then do you remember how you survived? How do I survive? How do I know? I was here after I woke up. Yang Yu and Dede turned their heads almost at the same time. After looking at each other affectionately, they slowly turned back like a machine. The scene from yesterday seemed to appear in front of Yang Yu's eyes again. An almost identical scene appeared in front of Dada. That. Dada, do you want to eat some melon? He nodded blankly. Eat melon, eat melon. Yang Yu silently changed the channel, but who knew that after changing the channel, it was still yesterday's news. Although Yang Yu's head was full of black lines, he still breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Because there were extremely strong winds and heavy rains, the true situation of the collapse of the research center was concealed. There was no terrible behemoth in the news reports, or the collapse of the research center was caused by the evolution of elves? Perhaps only he and Wen Renfang Chen knew the secret. Yang Yu felt nervous, but still chose to believe Wen Renfang Chen. Now I allow Wen even more. Yang Yu touched his nose. He would not forget that in order to help them find this research institute, Sister Mi Chun even overdrawn her superpowers and overloaded her superpowers. It takes a long time to recover without leaving any sequelae. Grrrrrrrr. Dumb. What's wrong? At this time, Dede gently touched the elf ball and then solemnly handed the elf ball to Yang Yu's hand. Yeah. Dada pointed outside the door and drew a circle. Are you going back? Dudu nodded. Dedu, wait for me, see you in our water gym. Yang Yu's voice was extremely confident at this time. No matter where, strength is the source of confidence. He will not forget the agreement he made with Master Lin. Ah, Dede followed Yang Yu's example, clenching the small fist in his right hand and patting his chest. The pokeball even rarely flashed on its own. Yang Yu's scalp felt numb. Gyarados, please, don't let your mind wander. If this happens, Yang Yu looks at this small room and feels like he will become a millionaire. However, unlike the last time, there were no tears in this farewell. Thank you Yunchin and Lujo for supporting 100 fish farming funds. Please vote. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, Ai Ren Huo Xiangxiao. Chapter 126. Yang Yu returned to school very low-key. During this period, I went home and looked at Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu had installed the Salted Fish King's wash basin before using it at home, and then the water was bathing Lolulus. It looked like a child. After coming into contact with the water in the basin, Hirulus was in a very happy mood, and Xiao Yu even put soap on Rulus' hands so that he could use them to blow bubbles. When Yang Yu entered the door, a big bubble flew to his hair and exploded. Seeing Yang Yu's head full of black lines, Yang Xiao held his stomach and laughed for a long time, but Lolulus did not. She shyly took the towel and wanted to help Yang Yu wipe it. After experiencing this incident, although the elf thieves had been caught at the elf police station, Yang Yu still remembered that there was not only one similar commercial vehicle. In order to avoid more trouble, Yang Yu felt, it's time to move. Dolly Moving Service Company, your best moving partner. Since the houses that Yang Yu rents are relatively small, the moving company sends a truckload of people. It seems that if it is a big house moving, the one sent should be powerful or strange. It is indeed powerful enough. Although Yang Xiao didn't know the real situation of what happened, she could still guess a thing or two from the elf police station, so she held Larulus more carefully. The new home is closer to the Wenjiao Road Elf Nursery, so when Yang Xiao is free, he can take Larulus to the nursery to play with Abi Lang and the others, and he can even take care of him here. I don't know if this counts as inheriting Yang Yu's mantle. In short, Yang Xiao took over Yang Yu's job at the elf trusteeship. Every weekend, he can work at the elf trusteeship. Hazard. Face the wind. As soon as Yang Yu reached the third floor, he could hear the penetrating sound. Sure enough, as soon as Yang Yu entered the door of 403, he could see a man wearing a big blue hat. It seems that this hat has become bigger. Although the long straps are still two, at least, it has become bigger, which is a good thing. Little top hat, feed me, Gao Mao smiled hee, looking at his happy man's boundless joy, he opened his mouth wide. While little Gao Mao was typing on the keyboard, he also used a belt to roll up potato chips from the opened potato chip bag next to him and stuff them into Gao Mao's mouth, making a continuous click-click sound. Yang Yu was shocked. This is the real ultimate mode of fat otaku, right? When school first started, he seemed quite reserved, but after returning from the holidays, his true colors were revealed. Raise an agate jellyfish and wear it on your head. Not only can it help you press buttons that you can't operate when playing games, but it can also feed you when you are hungry. More importantly, wearing this hat it's also very comfortable and cool, preventing you from getting wet. Yang Yu closed the door silently, and then imagined the scene after the agate jellyfish evolved. This stinging jellyfish has more than just 2 straps, there are dozens of straps. One strap is tied with potato chips, one strap is tied with quillo, and one strap is tied with mother's beef sticks. There are also meat waffles, seaweed rolls, and chocolates. Ah, who can withstand this operation? Yang Yu began to extremely suspect that Gao Mao chose the agate jellyfish as his first elf just for one day. Yang Yu, are you back? Hong Kong was lying on the bed and watching anime. In the water tank next to him, the sea spiny dragon was blowing bubbles leisurely with Hong Kong. Ah, Hong Kong, didn't you go to the swimming pool to train? Yang Yu asked with a smile. I have already trained this morning. I have been training all morning and I feel very good. Do you want to balance work and rest? How about you, how is your training with Salted Fish King? Hong Kong sat up and asked seriously. The top 16 competition will start tomorrow. During these 5 days of vacation, he has learned a lot of inside information. Yang Yu, there are several people among the top 16 players. They have captured the second elf, and they are not weak. In that case, it will be difficult to fight. If they do not capture the second elf, they will have to fight against 2. Got it? Hong Kong, how did you know? Yang Yu asked in surprise. Hey, it's not a secret anymore. As soon as those people came back from vacation, they summoned a new elf beside them, not to mention too many. This one was passed on to 10, and it was passed on to hundreds. Immediately, everyone in the school knows it. Hong Kong's voice was sour when he spoke. I won't choose so casually. Yang Yu looked at the pouting Hong Kong with a smile and shook his head. Of course he knew that Hong Kong also wanted to be famous in school, so that he could meet more young ladies. But then again, when the strength of the elf is probably equal, the chance of winning can indeed be much greater with the addition of one more elf. Especially at this stage, most of the elf trainers who are junior trainers only know the moves. With a few of them, and one more elf, not only will the attack surface of the skills be wider, but they can also engage in will battles. Use the first elf to consume a lot of the opponent's elf's physical strength, and then send out the second elf. In this way, since the opponent only has one elf and cannot send out the second elf after defeat, victory is so easy. If it is based on what was said in the previous GBA game, it would be easier to explain. In a battle, there is one level 5 elf on one side and 2 on the other side, and their moves are not mutually restrained. At the same time, recovery medicine cannot be used during the battle. To put it simply, just use collision. Is it possible that 2 of them can't hit one? Of course, this is just an analogy. More, it still depends on the actual situation. Whether the trainer can use reasonable moves to deal with the opponent's moves and attacks, and whether the elf can exert its full strength in the battle, these all play a decisive role. 1 versus 2. What it is? Yang Yu feels that he can wear 1 and 6. That's a little more exaggerated. Everyone here is a hot chick? It shouldn't be too much to fight 15 against 1. No, 1 has to be removed. Kun Kun is one of our own, so let's fight 14 with 1. Yang Yu, how are you preparing? This time, 16 will advance to 8, but we will be divided into 4 groups A, B, C, and D. This is very unfriendly to your Salted Fish King. In these 5 days, several people specially went to capture the grass-type elves, as well as the existing electric-type elves, and they will be in danger, Hong Kong said with concern. The Sea Thorn Dragon, now master the dragon-type moves? The damage will not be diminished. Yang Yu took a deep breath, and his expression gradually became serious. I'm drifting, I wasn't like this before, I'm a stable person, I have to be low-key, I have to be low-key as a person. In Hong Kong's eyes, he thought that Yang Yu's situation was very bad, and he couldn't help but feel worried for Yang Yu. I'm afraid of making others cry. Yang Yu sighed. What? Thanks to Kun of the Deep Sea, let me say it again for the 500 coin fish farming fund support. Thanks to all the trainers for your recommendation votes. Please vote. Pokemon's Character Master. Author, AI Ren Huo Chiang Xiao. Chapter 127. Gao Mao, Hong Kong, what do you two want to do? Yang Yu looked very horrified and sat on the stool like a prisoner being interrogated. What do you want to do? Hey. Classmate Yang Yu, you will be lenient if you confess, but strict if you resist. Hong Kong climbed down from the bed, holding the fish tank containing the sea spiny dragon in his hand, with a nagging expression on his face, as if he was holding the crystal ball unleashes evil summoning magic from an old wizard. Hong Kong is right. Leniency will be given to those who confess, strict punishment if they resist. Gao Mao even stopped playing his beloved game, solemnly took off his little top hat and put it on Yang Yu's head, listening to the voice that sounded very vicious continued, otherwise, I will let the little top hat keep feeding you potato chips, and you are not allowed to stop. Two heroes, if you have something to say, please say it, if you have something to say, please say it, Yang Yu begged for mercy in a very cooperative manner. The two straps of the little top hat on his head waved two pieces of potato chips with open teeth and claws, pretending to go to Yang Yu stuffed it in his mouth. Stop talking nonsense. Tell me quickly, what happened to your salted fish king? Why did you just say that you were afraid of beating them to tears? Does this them refer to those opponents in the top 16? Hong Kong had already thought in his mind he saw the unbelievable situation, but he still wanted to hear Yang Yu admit it personally. This is real. Hurry up and explain, otherwise, I will drink Quilugo for you to see. Gao Mao drank 3 sips of Quilugo in big gulps, and even opened his eyes and let out a long belch. Belch. The long belching sound made both Hong Kong and Yang Yu feel that Fat Mansion was about to fall into the water. Two heroes, to tell you the truth, my salted fish king has evolved. Yang Yu's expression changed at this time, and his aura soared. The original appearance of sitting on the stool submissively disappeared in an instant. The moment he stood up on the stool, there was an additional pokeball in his hand. Ah, brother Yang Yu, brother, we have blind eyes and cannot recognize Mount Tai. We are wrong. Brother Yang Yu, please don't let your imagination run wild. Hong Kong looked shocked as if he saw the protagonist who used a unique trick. He was about to release a big move that would destroy the world, so he quickly took the crystal ball in his hand and the sea spiny dragon to hide far away. Ah, brother Yang Yu, I still have a bottle of Quilugo from 1982 here. Little Gao Hao, hurry up, give Quilugo to the boss. Gao Mao is also possessed by an actor, and the trembling one is the small eyes, the trembling flesh at the corner of the mouth, and the trembling and elastic belly on the body, holding a bottle with both hands and opening the tab with a click. The little high hat on Yang Yu's head looked like a dog's legs. While feeding Yang Yu potato chips fearfully, he took the Quilugo from Gao Mao's hand, for fear that the boss would be angry. Yang Yu raised his eyebrows and happily accepted the super VIP treatment. He ate potato chips and drank a lot. Hey. The three people looked at each other for a long time, and then laughed wildly in the dormitory like ghosts crying and wolves howling. Ha 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 ha. Ah ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Boys' happiness is so simple. Yang Yu burst out laughing with tears in his eyes. He slumped on the stool and stared speechlessly at Gao Mao and Hong Kong, who had almost the same sand sculpture postures as him. He really didn't expect that the acting skills of these two people were so good. They didn't take the movie exam. The academy is really underwhelming. Ha 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 ha, Yang Yu, I can't help it. This is too funny. I didn't expect you to be so cooperative. Hey, let me go. It's so fun. Hong Kong put the fish tank on the table with a shudder. The sea spiny dragon in the fish tank said that it was confused about the whole process and was in a panic. With such unstable hands, it would have happened if the fish tank fell to the ground. The black question mark hit its head, and it even began to doubt its owner. Are you out of your mind? Whoa, 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 hey, I'll go, little top hat, you're amazing too, I'll give you some chicken drumsticks tonight. Gao Mao's eyes had narrowed to a slit, and his smiling face made it impossible to open his eyes. The little top hat jumped off Yang Yu's head and waved his two belts excitedly on the table, expressing his sincere gratitude for being able to star in this epic disaster movie in Dormitory 403. 403. This damn laughter frightened many flying elves. The Mid-Autumn Festival holiday was coming to an end. Many girls in the school had heard that the famous man Fang Chen was going home for the Mid-Autumn Festival. Taking advantage of the time when he was about to return to school, he sent these little elves continue to come to 403 to see if they can squat until they hear people Fang Chen. But damn, this dormitory in 403 is too scary. The few elves holding the letter in their mouths were so frightened that they didn't even want the letter. They let the sentimental letter fly all over the sky. It's time now. No matter what the letter is, the most important thing is to escape back quickly. This place. Never come again next time. Next time the master forces me to come, I won't come. It's so terrible. Some innocent elves who passed by also suffered from Weevue disaster and evacuated the place one after another. The most tragic thing is the singles who don't know the truth. They picked up a roll of letter paper tied with a red silk bow that fell from the air. There was also a small card on the bow that read to the wearer Fang Chen. Needless to say, the critical hit of 10,000 points hits the red heart first, and then a super double. The three culprits were not aware of the situation outside at all. Outside the door of dormitory 403, it was like a devil's abyss, but inside the door was a happy life. Yang Yu, let me ask again, has it really evolved? Hong Kong changed his expression. This is no joke. Yang Yu smiled and nodded. Oh my god, the freshman is already a junior trainer with Gyarados, what the hell is he still a human being? Gao Mao was holding the little top hat at this time, and he had completely transformed into Yang. Yu Xiaomi, brother, you must take care of me, brother. Once this salted fish king evolves into Gyarados, Yang Yu, I bet that most intermediate trainers will not be your opponents, and even some ordinary high-level trainers who focus on the water system may not be yours either. Opponent Hong Kong stared at Yang Yu with burning eyes. Hong Kong, I'm telling you, don't mess around. Yang Yu's scalp went numb when he saw Hong Kong's eyes. Yang Yu, how can you steal my lines? This is clearly what I said, Hong Kong said angrily. When school first started, you said your elf was a bit big. At that time, the salted fish king was already very big. He's grown up, but I didn't expect that during military training, he would be able to block the road. Yes, yes, yes. Yang Yu, don't act recklessly. Don't let your imagination run wild. Gao Mao had a smile on his face, but suddenly he seemed to have thought of something extremely terrifying, and his fat body suddenly trembled. The whole person broke into a cold sweat. My life is in your hands. The little top hat of the agate jellyfish broke away from Gao Mao's arms, ran to Yang Yu's side quickly, lay down on the ground, held Yang Yu's thighs with two straps and remained motionless, looking up at Yang Yu pitifully. What nonsense! Yang Yu rolled his eyes. Are you talking human language? The instructor also said at that time that the salted fish king was not allowed to be summoned from the dormitory. Hong Kong's voice was faint. When he thought about it, the salted fish king that was not allowed to be summoned from the dormitory had evolved into Gyarados. How fat would he be? Hong Kong knew he was very curious. However, Curiosity can kill people. Hong Kong didn't want to die young just because he wanted to satisfy his curiosity and see how big Yang Yu's Gyarados was in the dormitory. He now wants to go to school quickly to find a girl to comfort his injured young heart. Yang Yu, our dormitory only has such a small space, you have to be careful, ah. Gao Mao hurriedly came up and hugged Yang Yu's arm, his voice trembling and pitiful. The corners of Yang Yu's mouth kept twitching. Of course I knew my life was in danger. He didn't want to be upset because he summoned Gyarados in the dormitory before it was even released, and then finished the whole book. No matter how powerful the protagonist's aura is, he can't stop himself from seeking death. Don't waste your time in development, this is a wise saying. Kami Kami. The door to 403 is open. A Kami turtle wearing sunglasses and a skull bag appeared. Hey, everyone is here, Gao Mao, little Gao Hao, why is one of you holding Yang Yu's thigh and the other holding Yang Yu's arm? Wenren Fangchen took off the same sunglasses of Kami turtle and smiled. He looked at the noisy scene in the dormitory. Wenren Fangchen, do you know, Hong Kong's loud voice was ready to shout. Shhh, Yang Yu gave Hong Kong a look and almost sealed his mouth with his hand. Oh, Wenren Fangchen, hurry up, lock the door, I have an important thing to report to you. Hong Kong took a deep breath, and once again the drama possessed him, just like a secret intelligence agent secretly same as sharing information. What does it take to be so cautious? Wenren Fangchen was startled. Soon, he saw Yang Yu's eyes. Oh. Understood. Wenren Fangchen smiled and nodded. Yang Yu blinked. A smart person knows everything at once. Wenren Fangchen, Yang Yu's salted fish king, he. Jin. Transformed, Hong Kong now wished he could spread the news, but he also knew that if he told it now, it would be the end of the competition. It's boring then. It's like a huge surprise. Tell others what the surprise is. If you are prepared before the surprise comes, the effect will be greatly reduced. Of course, for the other top 16 players. This is not a surprise, but a shock. What, Salted Fish King, he, has evolved. Wenren Fangchen was so shocked that he even threw the luggage he was holding on the ground. His shocked eyes were full of satisfaction. It was so unbelievable that I even took a few steps back. Yang Yu also looked at Wenren Fangchen in shock. Damn it, if he hadn't known very well, Wenren Fangchen was at the scene when the Salted Fish King evolved. This natural performance would have made people think he was, I really don't know anything, I just heard about it. Is this Hangcheng Elf University of Electronic Science and Technology? Why do I feel like I'm in Hangzhou Drama University? Wenren Fangchen said solemnly, Yang Yu, don't let your mind wander. Even if you can't think about it, you still have to think about the three of us in this dormitory, as well as Little Top Hat, Sea Thorn Dragon and my card. Makami. Hong Kong and Gao Mao beside him nodded in agreement like chickens pecking at rice. Yang Yu has a big head. You three. Collusion, right?